Hey, wacky weather today. It's actually sunny in some parts up ahead, but it's raining in others. And what's going on today? How about this first one where apparently there's prisons having issues with drones. This one says, chaos, contraband delivered by drone. Stony Mountain Guards Union raising alarm about increasing violence, drug use linked to high-tech smuggling. It's interesting, as it mentions here, I guess it was just a regular bystander at first that noticed the drone. It says at about 6:30 a.m., one day in September, a resident in the town that surrounds Manitoba's only federal prison stepped outside for a cigarette only to be distracted by a droning buzzing noise. Reaching for a phone to dial the direct hotline to the control center at Stony Mountain Institution, they warned guards a drone was flying over the prison walls. It turns out it headed directly to the window of a maximum security inmate cell where the prisoner had managed to cut out a piece of the glass and reach his hand through to grab a package of contraband it delivered. So what was there? Apparently there were things, for example, like marijuana, cell phones, Bluetooth headphones, and also things like steroids and all that. And as you can imagine, they're saying it's an issue for them, saying the union is raising the alarm over what it is calling a skyrocketing drug and contraband trade within and over the walls of Stony Mountain Institution. Violence between inmates and against officers largely flow out of disputes over its internal black market and other drug-fueled tensions, union officials contend. I would imagine they'd have cameras around the place everywhere too, correct? They must have been, I guess, working at it for a while to have this system to deliver, I guess, the drugs and stuff like that. And it says a minimum of 2 drones are now intercepted in an average week at Stony, the union official says. Wow, that's quite a bit. It makes me wonder too, are they gonna have like a collection of drones they can seize and use for their own usage afterwards? Because I would imagine these things aren't too hard to find overall. Plus the fact that if they're using, let's just say, a regular drone that you can buy anywhere, they probably don't last that long as well. And it goes on to say here, the CSC spokesman also said, at the time, the federal department continues to research and introduce new technology to help detect drones as remotely piloted aircraft technology evolves. Can you imagine it in this case too, where the initial solution would be, oh, just ban them all everywhere and so forth. That'll stop it. Make more registration and all that. Whereas in these cases, criminals are going to use it regardless, so you have to find ways to deal with them specifically. And it's just a great example of it, in my opinion. And when I thought of tracking drones, I guess there was more stories about that. How about this one saying, Israel introduces new national center for monitoring movement of drones. For the first time in Israel, the management of the movement of drones, UAVs, throughout the country will be directed through a national control center. It makes me wonder if that means every single type of drone, even toys, for example. It says the Ministry of Transportation, which leads the National Drone Project, established a command and control center to manage the national aerial image of drone movement. The center assists the security and civilian effort in the quote Iron Swords War and also operates drones to identify and locate drop launches, collect information for the security and rescue forces, and more. The new project aims to qualify the airspace in Israel to support the air traffic of drones for public use and to support the development and implementation of groundbreaking technologies of the drone industry in Israel and around the world. With the outbreak of the quote Iron Swords War, the project's activities were adjusted to support the security and rescue forces. Can you imagine that being a standard in your area? It says the project operates through 8 civilian companies, a fleet of drones for missions received from the emergency security and rescue bodies. The activity helps in monitoring civilian damage centers in the field, identifying and locating dropped missiles, collecting information, and assisting the security and rescue forces. Also, the activity helps in identifying disturbances, escorting security forces, and directing them. Again, I guess this will be the way of the future in a lot of other places as well, huh? And then I read this, I was like, what is this humongous thing? This one says, the world's largest aircraft breaks cover in Silicon Valley. As dawn breaks over Silicon Valley, the world is getting its first look at Pathfinder 1, a prototype electric airship that its maker, LTA Research, hopes will kickstart a new era in climate-friendly air travel and accelerate the humanitarian work of its funder, Google co-founder Sergey Brin. The airship, its snow-white steampunk profile visible from the busy 101 highway, has taken drone technology such as fly-by-wire controls, electric motors, and LiDAR sensing and supersized them to something longer than 3 Boeing 737s potentially able to carry tons of cargo over many hundreds of miles. And as they say, it got FAA approval to do, I guess, flight tests and all that, which makes you think again, I guess toy drones never too dangerous, but this thing is like, okay, let's try it out. It says at 124.5 meters long, Pathfinder 1 dwarfs the current Goodyear airships and even the massive strato-launch plane designed to launch orbital rockets. Would you actually ride this thing? I know that some people say they're afraid of going into an autonomous drone. How about this humongous thing? Would you just treat it as a blimp, for example? Alright, see you guys later.